Heartwarming journey. Millionaire discovers unexpected love with poor girl asleep at bus stop. Jake slipped out of the glimmering gala, his designer suit feeling like armor in a world where everything was a reflection of wealth. The cacophony of laughter and clinking glasses faded behind him as he stepped into Chicago's autumn night, where the sidewalks sparkled under the golden street lamps. Yet, despite the riches, he felt a familiar ache in his chest, a heavy emptiness that lingered like the scent of expensive cologne. His parents' expectations clung to him, chaining his heart to the weight of their well-meaning demands. He should be at that gala still, charming the elite, not wandering aimlessly through the crisp air filled with the scent of fallen leaves. As he turned a corner, his gaze fell upon a bus stop. A stark contrast to his world of luxury, the scene unfolded like a muted painting. There, asleep on the cold metal bench, was Lily, a weary waitress, clad in a thin jacket, her face marred by fatigue. Her chestnut hair cascaded over one shoulder, framing features that spoke of resilience. Jake felt a pull, an unexpected urge to connect. He gently nudged her shoulder, and she stirred, startled. When their eyes met, for an instant, the vast gulf between their lives vanished. Her lush green eyes sparkled with surprise, softened by a familiar warmth that was absent in his gilded world. "Hey, you okay?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. In that moment, something flickered, a shared vulnerability laid bare under the high stakes of society's demands. Lily's tired smile cut through the darkness like a beacon, igniting a flame in Jake's chest. She wore her struggles like a badge of honor, while he was suffocated by his own privileges, drowning in superficial connections. As the conversation flowed, he felt laughter bubble from somewhere deep within, unshackled by the weight of his facade. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As their connection deepened, Jake found himself wandering further into Lily's world, where dreams were often shackled by financial burdens. Each stolen moment together revealed layers he never considered, layers peeling back the privilege he took for granted. His wealthy friends scoffed at his choice, shaking their heads as if he lost his way. But every laugh with Lily, every shared secret, felt like a piece of his soul was miraculously mending. But reality loomed like a dark cloud, swift and fierce. When a sudden storm ravaged Lily's neighborhood, flooding the streets and hearts alike, Jake felt the call to action surge within him. He joined the locals, his hands dirty but his spirit alight, united under the banner of resilience. Yet amidst the turmoil, his friends whispered disapproval, and the gilded cage in which he confined himself rattled ominously. Standing at the crossroads of privilege and purpose, he felt torn. He could retreat into the familiarity of his affluent life, or take a leap into the raw, beautiful chaos that loved Lily, a reality he yearned to embrace. The choice clung to him as tightly as his suit, and just when he mustered the courage to break free, a whispered rumor about an upcoming gala threatened to pull him back into the shadows. Would he choose comfort, or plunge into an abyss of love? The answer lingered, electrifying the air around him, leaving the next steps shrouded in uncertainty but charged with possibility. As the storm swirled outside, Jake's thoughts were turbulent too. He stood in front of the mirror, adjusting his tie for the gala that loomed ahead, yet his reflection felt foreign. The suit seemed to mock him with its polished sheen. He had lived for these lavish events, each one a parade of prestige, but now it felt hollow, a mask hiding the man he wished to become. Lily's laughter echoed in his mind, warm and free, a stark contrast to the stranglehold of his wealthy world. He remembered her stories, days spent working double shifts just to make ends meet, the dreams she had to shelve for a better tomorrow. Her spirit demystified affluence, challenging him to view life through different eyes. With every moment they shared, he felt the weight of his privilege shift. Yet, the thought of returning to that luxury gala made his stomach churn. The soft buzz of his phone broke through his thoughts. A group chat filled with messages from his old friends beckoned him. They were eager for a reunion at the gala, boasting about their latest achievements and sharing sly jokes about the elite lifestyle. As he scrolled through the messages, a wave of guilt washed over him. Did he owe them loyalty? Or was it time to redefine his circle? Jake glanced out the window, catching sight of the rain-soaked streets, the shimmer of reflections dancing in the puddles. His heart raced as he imagined Lily out there, facing the elements alone. He could be there, offering support, pulling her closer to the light instead of retreating into the safety of his wealthy bubble. A sudden resolve surged within him. The gala could wait. He tossed his tie onto the bed, stripped off the jacket, and pulled on a comfortable hoodie and jeans. He stepped into the night, adrenaline pumping, determined to find Lily before the rain dampened her spirit even more. As he navigated the puddles, each step filled with purpose, he knew this was not just a search for her. It was a search for himself, the real Jake, unmasked and raw. The neighborhoods transformed in the rain, blurred colors illuminating the streets like a fresh canvas. The sparkle of life overshadowed the static tension of wealth. Finally, he reached her place, breathing hard. The little cafe she worked at stood resilient against the dark clouds, busy with patrons seeking refuge and warmth. He squeezed through the door, heart pounding with anticipation. The familiar scent of coffee mingled with the warmth of friendly chatter was inviting. He scanned the crowd, searching for her. There she was, wiping down tables and flashing that infectious smile that could brighten the gloomiest of days. His heart soared as she caught sight of him, her surprise transforming into joy. They locked eyes, and everything around them blurred into a soft hum, leaving just the two of them in focus. "Jake, what are you doing here?" she exclaimed, her voice cutting through the noise like a favorite song. "I came to see you," he said, hoping his sincerity resonated in the space between them. "I want to be here, with you." Lily's expression faltered for just a moment, uncertainty creeping into her bright green eyes. "But the gala, your friend's your life?" "Doesn't he matter?" he replied, stepping closer. "What matters is finding out who I am when I'm with you." The moment hung heavily in the air, both exhilarating and terrifying. Just as Lily opened her mouth to speak, the door swung open, framing the silhouette of a figure that made Jake's heart sink. It was one of the snooty elite he'd just escaped, the last person he wanted to see. "What are you doing here, Jake?" The voice dripped with condescension. "This place is for people like her, not you." Jake felt the familiar pull back to the elite world, but he stood firm, having just tasted something sweeter than privilege, love, honesty, and belonging. Would he choose to confront his past with confidence, or let the judgment of his old life tear apart his newfound happiness? The decision loomed over him like a storm cloud ready to burst. The tension twisted in his gut, and he knew at that moment that everything was about to change. Jake's heart raced, but it wasn't he from the cold air swirling in with that stranger. It was the electric charge sparking from the confrontation standing before him. His old life peered back at him with disdain, and he felt the weight of the world pushing down. The cafe went silent, patrons glancing over their shoulders, curious about the scuffle brewing. He could sense Lily's unease beside him, her eyes darting between Jake and the newcomer. "Hey, why don't you leave him alone?" Lily said, her voice steady. As she stepped forward, defiance etched on her face. "This is his choice. He is here for me." The elite figure raised an eyebrow, visibly taken aback. "This is a joke, right? You're seriously defending him? He wasting his time with a waitress?" Jake felt a tug in his chest, a mix of anger and protectiveness washing over him. But he breathed deep, grounding himself in the moment. "No one's wasting time here," he fired back, locking eyes with the judgmental man. "I'm here because I want to be. I'm not wasting my life on a suit that doesn't fit anymore." Murmurs rippled through the cafe, glances exchanged in disbelief. The sense of solidarity around him began to swell as patrons cheered Lily's courage silently. The outsider opened his mouth to reply but then thought better of it, looking defeated under the weight of the collective gaze. After a long pause, he turned on his heel and walked out, the door swinging shut behind him with a muted thud. Jake exhaled, the tension leaving his shoulders. His pulse slowed as he turned back to Lily, who was still staring at him, her expression drawn tight. "What just happened?" she asked softly. "I think I just chose the right path," Jake replied, that smile creeping back across his face. and I'd choose it again, a million times over. The cafe slowly returned to its rhythm, the chatter resuming like the peal of laughter after a thunderclap. But Jake knew the echo of that moment would linger. It wasn't just about the rebel act. It was about finding a deeper connection that transcended the superficial trappings of his former life. Lily's blush deepened, her hands clenched around the rag she had been holding. I don't know if I deserve this, you standing up to him for me. Of course, you do, Jake insisted, leaning closer. You deserve every bit of respect in this world. Standing up for you felt right. The warmth of her smile blossomed as she searched his eyes, that uncertainty slipping away. So what does this mean for us? For you and me? Jake felt his heart thrum with 1,000 possibilities. It means I want to understand the world through your eyes. I want to share it all with you. But as the cafe door swung open again, causing a ripple of anticipation and concern among the patrons, a sense of unease again interrupted his moment. Another figure, a familiar and unsettling presence, eclipsed the doorway. His father, dressed immaculately in attire that screamed wealth and expectation. Jake, the older man's voice boomed across the room. Thick with authority, we need to talk. Right now? Time seemed to freeze around Jake as he went from the warmth of possibility to the stark chill of obligation. His father's arrival pulled him back to a world he had been desperate to escape, forcing him to face the tangled web of family expectations and his new reality with Lily. Would he walk away, or slide back into the suit he had so recently shed? Suddenly, the stakes felt higher than ever. Jake's stomach twisted, feeling the weight of his father's presence wash over him like a cold wave. The cafe crowd, once so wrapped up in his small act of rebellion, now felt like a distant murmur, their supportive energy overshadowed by the man who had always represented everything Jake was trying to break away from. What do you want? Jake's voice rose above the chatter, surprising even himself with the strength it held. The eyes of the cafe seemed to gravitate toward him, drawn by the tension pulsing in the air. Can we step outside? His father's words were clipped, dismissive, as if the cafe was beneath him. He gave a slight nod toward the door, unwilling to negotiate. Lily squeezed Jake's hand tightly, her concern tangible. You don't have to go, she urged quietly, her voice softer now, almost pleading. Jake hesitated. He looked at her, that warmth from just moments ago fading into uncertainty. A bead of sweat formed at his brow as he weighed the impossible heaviness of family loyalty against the burgeoning love he felt for this woman right in front of him. Jake, his father barked, a frustrated edge creeping into his voice. We don't have all day. The patrons in the cafe shifted uneasily in their chairs, watching, waiting. Jake felt the eyes of strangers on him, but more pressing was the firm grip of his father's expectations. He glanced down at Lily, who wore an expression combining fear and fierce determination. I need to talk to him, Jake said, surprising them both. But I'll be right back, he promised, though a nagging doubt crept in as he let go of her hand. Just be careful, she replied, her eyes shining with unshed vulnerability. He rose, the jingle of the cafe door echoing as he made his way outside. The chill in the air felt sharper now, biting at him as he stepped away from the warmth and into the weight of family pressure. His father stood waiting, arms crossed, impatience radiating off him like heat from a fire. What were you thinking? His father exploded as soon as the door shut. You could ruined everything. Jake clenched his fists, feeling his father's control tighten around him. You don't get to dictate my life anymore. The older man's brow furrowed, his face reddening with frustration. And you think this whatever this is with that waitress is better? You were meant to inherit a legacy. You were meant to carry on the name. But I don't want that life. Not anymore. Jake shouted, the words rippling through the quiet street, reverberating in his chest. People passing by turned their heads, their curiosity piqued by the commotion. Think carefully about what you're throwing away. His father pressed, his voice chilling, as if he was unleashing something only the past could retaliate with. Jake's heart raced at the reality of that statement. Was he really going to throw everything away? The old life, as stifling as it was, had provided him with security, comfort, and expectations that clawed at him. What if I'm not happy? Jake's voice fell, softer now raw. What if all that money and prestige doesn't fill that hole inside me? What if I'd rather take a risk on something real? His father fell silent, visibly taken aback. For a fleeting moment, Jake thought he saw a crack in the steely resolve of his father's facade. But then, the coldness returned. "You'll figure it out soon enough, son." The older man adjusted his cuffs, turning to leave. "You'll come back. They always do." Jake's breath caught in his throat as he stood there, stunned. The door of uncertainty lay open before him, and behind it, the blossom of a future he couldn't yet see clearly. As he turned back toward the cafe, heart thumping hard in his chest, he knew one thing. He could no longer split himself in two. It felt like time was bending in that moment, the magnitude of his choices wrapping around him. Would he choose the pristine path laid out before him, or gamble on something entirely unknown? The truth of how he felt about Lily. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows, while Jake stepped through the door, returning to the life he'd fought so hard to defend. But would it be enough to hold him steady when everything he knew began to unravel? As Jake stepped back into the cafe, the chatter picked up again, muffled sounds of clinking cups and conversations. Yet, he felt isolated, enveloped by a storm swirling within him. His heart thudded with the weight of his father's expectations, the remnants of their confrontation hanging in the air like smoke. Lily sat at their table, her fingers tracing circles on the wooden surface. Her expression shifted from concern to relief as Jake approached. He slid into the chair opposite her, trying to muster a smile, but his insides felt like they were twisting into knots. "What happened?" she asked, her voice breaking the tension. Jake leaned forward, resting his elbows on the table. He doesn't get it," he admitted. To him, it's all about the legacy. The family name. He paused, searching for the right words. "But I don't want that. Not if it means being miserable." Lily's eyes softened. "You deserve to be happy." Jake nodded, but doubt lingered. The pull of his father's world was strong, leaving him doubting every choice. "But what if I'm making a huge mistake?" he asked, vulnerability seeping into his voice. "What if I lose everything?" She reached across the table, her hand warm against his. "You won't lose me," she said. "I'm here for you, no matter what you choose." His heart swelled at her words, yet tangled thoughts swirled in his mind. Could he really leave everything behind? Could he face his father, knowing he would never accept his choices? Fear crept in, edging out the warmth of hope. What if he started but stopped short? The words hung heavy between them. He could feel the weight of every decision looming, like a dark cloud threatening to burst. "Hey," she interrupted gently, leaning in closer. "You're stronger than you think. You fought for this moment. Don't let anyone take that away from you." Jake gazed into her eyes, searching for courage. There was a fire in her gaze that sparked something within him, an undeniable pull toward a future that felt right, even if it was uncertain. It wasn't just about rejecting his father. It was about claiming his own identity, his own happiness. "Let us take a walk," he said suddenly, standing up. The urge to escape the suffocating confines of the cafe, the looming shadows of expectation, gripped him. "I need some air." They stepped outside into the twilight, the street lights illuminating their path. With each step, the chill air wrapped around them, but Jake felt anew, electrified. The world hummed with possibilities, startling him. "You know, my dad isn't wrong about everything," Jake began, glancing sideways at Lily. "The family name, it does hold weight. But maybe it shouldn't define me." "Exactly," Lily responded, her face lit up with understanding. "You can build your own name, in your own way. It doesn't have to be the same as his." Jake stopped walking, the weight of her words grounding him. Maybe this was the shift he needed. But just then, a thought flashed, a flicker of doubt. "But what if we fail? What if I lose everything because I chose this path?" Lily took a step closer, her voice a steady anchor amidst his storm. "You won't be alone. We'll figure it out together." Jake's heart raced at the thought of standing by her side. It felt both terrifying and exhilarating. "Okay," he breathed. "Let us try." But just as they began moving forward, Jake caught sight of something out of the corner of his eye. His father, just a few yards away, watching them. "What now?" he whispered, his stomach sinking. "I don't know," Lily answered, equally caught off guard. "But whatever happens, remember your choice." Jake swallowed hard, feeling the weight of what was yet to come. The confrontation with his father had only begun, and now he would have to face it head on. What would his father demand next? Would he still stand with Lily, or would the past claw him back into its grip? The uncertainty loomed, and the moment of truth was fast approaching. Jake's breath hitched as he locked eyes with his father. The older man's face was a mask of disappointment, the kind that cut deeper than any words. It was as if the night air had thickened, and the world around them blurred into insignificance. It was just him, his father, and the unresolved turmoil between them. "What are you doing here, Jake?" His father's voice boomed, each syllable sharp and accusing. Jake stumbled, unsure of how to start. He glanced at Lily beside him, who stood quietly, her support palpable. "I'm just taking a walk." "A walk?" His father scoffed, eyes narrowing like a hawk ready to strike. "With her? Is this your life choice now? Hanging around with her name is Lily," Jake interjected, finding a spine he didn't know he had. "And she matters to me." "Matters?" His father echoed, as if the word was distasteful. "You think some girl with no family name can impact your life's path? You need to focus on what's important, not waste time on distractions." Every word felt like a punch to Jake's gut. He fought the urge to step back, to retreat into the safety of his father's expectations. But this time he rallied. "What's important to you isn't what's important to me," he said slowly, deliberately. "I don't want the same life you had. I want my own." Lily squeezed his hand, a silent encouragement, but Jake barely registered it. His father's face twisted with frustration, sweat beading at his brow as he stepped closer, invading Jake's space. "You think you know better? You think she can guide you through this?" He waved a dismissive hand towards Lily, who stood her ground, her chin raised defiantly. An awkward silence hung between them, shimmering like heat waves off asphalt. Jake felt the intensity shift, a tidal wave of emotion crashing over him. The pressure of the moment seemed to draw everything else away. It was just him and the reality he faced, the legacy of wealth and status battling his thirst for authenticity. "Dad, listen," he said, trying to keep his voice steady. "I know you want what's best for me, but you need to understand, I've spent too long living for you. I won't do it anymore." Jake could see surprise flicker across his father's face. Was that a hint of confusion? Regret? It was a brief glimpse, but it ignited a spark of hope within Jake. "You're making a mistake," his father said, his tone softer but still firm. "You have everything laid out for you. Why throw it away? Because it's not who I am. I don't want to be someone I'm not." The words tumbled out, raw and real. "I want to make my own choices, even if they're risky." Lily's hand still entwined with his. Jake felt the warmth spread through him, dispelling some of the cold fear that accompanied the confrontation. He glanced at her, and in her eyes, he read a reflection of his own courage. "Don't let this girl ruin everything you've worked for," his father warned, crossing his arms as if to ward off the implied threat. But Jake shook his head. "Lily won't ruin anything. She's shown me a different way, a way to be myself. Something you never did." The silence stretched between them again, heavy but somehow lighter than before. Jake could see that his father was grappling with something, a glimpse of comprehension crossing his face. But the moment shattered when a rich, booming laugh erupted from a nearby table. "You really think you can choose happiness over legacy?" Someone at a nearby table called out, their voice dripping with derision. Jake's heart raced, embarrassment flooding him. He felt all eyes on him, judgment hanging in the air. But as he turned back to his father, he didn't care about those stares. Maybe now was the moment to change everything, to build something new from the ashes of expectation. "Lily understands me," Jake said loudly, steadying himself against the tide of whispers. "And I can't live for something that isn't real for me. I'll fight for this." His father's expression hardened again, but there was a flicker of something unidentifiable lurking beneath the surface. Was it acceptance? Doubt? Before he could ponder too long, his father took a step back, cutting off the intensity with a sharp wave of his hand. "You have until the end of the week to decide, Jake. Don't let this foolishness cloud your judgment." With that, he turned and stormed away. Jake stood still, heart hammering in his chest. "What do we do now?" he asked, feeling the weight of the world still settled on his shoulders. Lily turned to him, her expression a mix of concern and determination. "We hold on tight to each other," she whispered, with the echoes of confrontation still ringing in the air. Jake felt the lingering question. How far was he willing to go for happiness? And what would happen when he faced the consequences of his choice? Jake stood on the sidewalk, the night closing in around him like a thick fog. His father's words echoed in his mind, a relentless drumbeat of doubt. He looked at Lily, whose eyes shone in the dim streetlight, defining the face of defiance that stood beside him. There was strength in her silence, like a steadfast lighthouse guiding him through the storm. "Did you mean what you said?" Lily asked softly, a hint of fear tinging her voice. "That you'll fight for us?" His gaze drifted past her, toward the shadows that danced in the distance. "I don't know what that looks like yet," he admitted, his voice heavy. "But I can't keep pretending." Jake could feel the weight of expectations pressing down on him like the weight of an entire world. He had spent so long trying to fit into a mold that never truly fit. But with Lily, there was a chance to break free. "I want to be with you, Lil, more than anything." Lily smiled, but a flicker of uncertainty passed through her eyes. "What happens if your father makes good on that ultimatum?" Jake shook his head, the question settling uncomfortably in his chest. The thought of a deadline made his stomach twist. Time had suddenly become a countdown, each tick an echo of his father's disapproval. "I can't let fear decide for me." They began walking, hand in hand, their footsteps in sync as they made their way down the familiar streets. The city was alive, but to Jake, it felt different, suffocating almost. It was the same city where he had envisioned his future as the perfect son, stepping into his father's shoes. Now, that future felt like a prison. "Do you think we can really make this work?" Lily asked, biting her lip. "I have to believe we can," he replied, squeezing her hand tighter. "I won't let anyone, especially my father, define what my happiness looks like." They passed a park, where laughter and chatter from a group of friends engaged in late-night antics wafted toward them. A couple was dancing, spinning beneath a blanket of stars, and for a fleeting moment, Jake longed for that sense of freedom. To just be carefree. "I wish it were that easy," he said, bitterness creeping into his voice. "But everything is so complicated." Lily stopped, pulling Jake to face her. "Then let us make it less complicated. We could leave for a bit, escape together. Just for a while." Jake raised an eyebrow, surprise mingling with curiosity. "You want to run away?" "Not run," she clarified, a smile lighting her face. "Just explore. See where we fit in the world, outside of what everyone expects." He could feel her optimism infecting him. "Where would we go?" Lily shrugged, and her eyes sparkled with mischief. "Anywhere: the coast, the mountains, the city, wherever we want. The point is to find ourselves." In that moment, Jake saw the allure of a life unchained from expectations. Could they truly do it? Just pick up and go? His heart raced at the notion, adrenaline pouring through his veins. But the thought of his father's disapproval loomed like a dark cloud. Would he truly sacrifice everything for a love that felt so transcendent, yet so fragile? "What if he comes after us?" Jake asked, doubt creeping in. "Then we stand together, no matter how loud he gets. We fight for us." Her determination stirred something deep inside him. He leaned forward, pressing his forehead against hers, feeling the electric connection between them. "I'm scared, but if we do this, I want it to be with you for real," he confessed, voice barely above a whisper. "Then let us plan it. We'll figure it out together." As hope began to blossom, a gust of wind swirled around them, carrying the scent of blooming flowers and fresh grass. Jake inhaled, letting the scent anchor him in this beautiful moment. "Tomorrow, we make a plan," he said, feeling a rush of new energy. "But right now, let us just enjoy this." They walked, weaving through the night, the weight of the world slowly lifting from Jake's shoulders. But as they turned a corner, the familiar silhouette of his father loomed in the distance, tension tightening the air around them. Jake's heart sank. Was he already too late to secure his own happiness? Jake's heart thudded in his chest, each beat wrapping him tighter in anxiety. The dark figure ahead was unmistakable, his father, standing stiff and implacable like a statue carved from stubbornness. The shadow cast by authority stretched over them, cold and heavy. "Jake," his father called, his voice slicing through the night air. It was a summons, one filled with palpable disappointment, and Jake instinctively stepped closer to Lily, trying to shield their connection with warmth. "What do we do?" Jake whispered to her, uncertainty flickering in his eyes. "We're not running," Lily said without hesitation. Her resolve steadied him, though dread clung to his spine. "Remember what I said? We fight for us." With a deep breath, he moved forward, Lily by his side. Each step felt like walking through a minefield, his father's anger lurking at every turn. As they approached, Jake could see the disappointment etched into his father's features, a mix of fury and disbelief. "I've been looking for you. We need to talk." His father's gaze flicked back and forth between them, like he couldn't quite comprehend the scene before him. It was a confrontation long overdue, and it churned in Jake's stomach, part dread, part fierce resolve. "Dad," he started, but his father cut him off, raising a hand in irritation. "I don't want to hear about your choices right now. You know how important this family is, and you're throwing it all away for some whim." "This isn't a whim," Lily spoke up, surprising both men. Her voice was steady and fierce, as if she embodied the strength Jake had been trying to muster. "It's about love, and it's real." Jake felt a surge of pride. Their fight wasn't just against his father's expectations. It was a fight for something bigger. Maybe this was what it felt like to stand up for oneself, to fight for the right to love. "Love isn't the issue here," his father replied, icy dismissal spilling from his lips. "This is about your future, Jake. You're willing to throw away everything I've worked for, everything this family stands for, everything you worked for, or everything you want me to be." Jake countered, feeling the fire in his belly ignite. "I'm not you. I can't be who you want if it means being miserable. I choose my own path." Jake's heart raced as he realized how powerful those words felt, an unshackling from the burden of expectation. His father's face, however, tightened like a vice, lips pursed in disapproval. "If you think this is a path worth taking, then go ahead. But don't expect your family to support you. Where will that leave you when the reality sets in, when you've failed?" Lily squeezed Jake's hand tighter, a silent reassurance. Each heartbeat sang in tune with the hope that was building a world where they could stand side by side, even against the fiercest storm. "If failure means finding my own happiness, then I'll take the chance," Jake declared, his voice steady, even though doubt pulled at the edge of his mind. "Because I want to be happy with her no matter what." In that moment, all the swirling fears and questions began to fade. Behind him, the dark night was a canvas for his choices. The city felt different now, filled with a rush of exhilarating possibilities and potential futures. His father's face turned ashen, the weight of Jake's defiance crashing against his iron will. They stood in silence, the tension thick, knowing choices would need to be made on both sides. What was at stake here flowed through his veins: love, hope, freedom. But even as Jake felt the exhilaration of standing up for himself, the hardness in his father's eyes reminded him the end of this confrontation wasn't clear. As they turned to walk away, the weight of lingering doubts followed them like shadows. Would their choice really create the life they both dreamed of? Or would it tear them apart in ways they couldn't yet imagine? Tomorrow, they would plan their escape and chart their future, if they could find a way past his father's wrath. But tonight, the path ahead shimmered with uncertainty, pulling him deeper into the unknown as he clenched Lily's hand tighter. What would happen when they took that leap? The morning light streamed through Jake's bedroom window, spilling a warm glow over the chaotic remnants of his life. Clothes lay strewn across the floor, a half-packed bag resting on the edge of his bed. He blinked against the sun, the memories of last night flooding back, his father's cold anger and Lily's unwavering support. Sitting up, Jake rubbed the sleep from his eyes. He had a plan, or at least a vague idea of one. Today, he and Lily would map out their escape. But how? Each inch of his father's authority loomed heavily in his mind, making him question everything. He shifted his gaze to the mirror, and for a moment, he hardly recognized the person staring back. The tension in his shoulders was unmistakable, but beneath that, he could feel a flicker of something else, a call for courage. The sound of his phone vibrating on the nightstand pierced the quiet. It was a message from Lily, a photo of a sketch she'd been working on. She had captured a moment from the night before their clasped hands, the fierce look in her eyes. No words were needed, just the image spoke volumes. He smiled, feeling walls of anxiety crack ever so slightly. "Meet me at the coffee shop," the message read. Jake leaped from the bed, a newfound sense of purpose pulsing through him. He gathered his things, shoving a few essentials into the bag, reminding himself to breathe. This was not just about running away. It was about running toward something real. The caffeine buzz of the coffee shop met him as he entered, filled with casual chatter and the smell of roasting beans. And there was Lily, sitting at their usual spot, an air of serenity about her amid the chaos of the cafe. She looked up, her face lighting up as he approached. "Hey," she said, excitement dancing in her eyes. "I've been thinking about everything." It's crazy," Jake interrupted, the adrenaline thrumming in his veins. "But I want to hear your plan." Lily took a deep breath, her fingers wrapping around a ceramic cup, steadying herself. "We need to start small. We could find a place together, even temporarily, something to give us a foundation." "But what about my dad?" Jake's voice fell. "What if we can't let fear control our decisions. I believe in us. We just need to focus on each day, one step at a time. We'll figure out how to face him. Together." Her words ignited a spark within him. He felt the tension in his chest begin to dissolve, replaced by a growing sense of hope. Together. It wasn't just a word. It was a promise. "Okay," Jake said, renewed courage flooding his voice. "One day at a time." As they started sketching out their plans, talking about possible jobs and places to stay, laughter bubbled between them, dissolving the heaviness of unspoken fears. They bounced ideas off one another, a mosaic getting pieced together, each fragment melding into a unified vision of what could be. But the door swung open, and in walked Jake's father, searching the room like a predator finding prey. His sharp gaze landed on Jake and Lily, instantly transforming the playful atmosphere into a taut silence. Jake's heart stopped, panic swept over him like a tidal wave. What would happen now? He glanced at Lily, her hand resting on the table, fingers brushing against his. Would this encounter tear them apart, or could their bond withstand the tempest about to unfold? The moment stretched, and for the first time, everything felt unbearably real. But that was exactly where they needed to be, at the brink of something transformative, teetering between joy and uncertainty. "Jake," his father said, voice low and controlled. "We need to talk." Jake swallowed hard, caught between rebellion and the fear of losing everything he had come to care for. How would he guard the love he had found when it was staring down his father's wrath? Would their connection hold strong in the face of conflict? The answers felt more elusive than ever. Jake's heart raced as he sat frozen in his chair, trying to balance love and fear. His father's steely gaze swept over him, then flickered to Lily, who looked like a deer caught in headlights. The cafe buzzed with life, yet in that moment, it felt like the world had stilled, leaving them in a bubble of intense scrutiny. "Now," his father demanded, the weight of authority heavy in his tone. "I will not be ignored." Drawing from a well of courage, Jake stood, gripping the table as if it were an anchor. "No, Dad. You don't get to control me like this. Not anymore." Lily's hand slid firmly into Jake's, grounding him amidst the storm. He could feel her strength, the abandonment of fear igniting a fierce determination within him. "You know what's at stake here, Jake," his father countered, lowering his voice as if desperate to draw him back into a world of expectation. "This girl can't offer you the future you deserve. You have a legacy to uphold." Lily met his father's eyes, unflinching. "Legacy? What about happiness? Isn't that worth more?" The challenge in her voice stunned Jake's father, a flicker of uncertainty crossing his face. For a brief moment, Jake felt the walls of their old life quiver. Could this moment be the turning point? Jake stepped closer. "I don't want the life you've laid out for me. I'm done living for someone else's dreams. I found a path that feels right. It's a risk I'm willing to take." The tension around them morphed into something tangible. Patrons shifted in their seats, watching the standoff with bated breath. The coffee shop atmosphere felt electric, charged with the weight of Jake's declaration. "Do you think you can choose happiness over a stable future?" His father attempted to regain control, his tone dripping with condescension. "Yes." Jake's voice rang clear, reverberating through the air like a declaration of independence. "Because I found something real, something worth fighting for." Jake caught a glimpse of admiration in Lily's eyes, a spark of recognition that they were indeed on the brink of something monumental. The world beyond them faded into a blur, focused only on the confrontation ahead. His father inhaled sharply, the disappointment washing over him like a cold wave. "You'll regret this, Jake. The world isn't kind to those who give everything up for fleeting moments of joy." "I'm not afraid to take a chance," Jake declared, his breath coming easier now. "I want to live a life dictated by commingled expectations. If I fail, It won TB because I followed my heart at LLB because I didn't fight for it. Lily's hand squeezed his. A silent vow shared between them. The cafe buzzed back to life around them. Confusion, shock, and admiration mingling in the air as eyes darted between father and son. Tension hung like mist until his father took a decisive step back, disbelief lingering heavy on his brow. "Fine," he said, voice taut with fury. "Do what you want. But don't come crawling back when you discover this isn't what you dreamed of." Jake's heart thudded in his chest. Relief flooded him, mingling with the thrill of defiance. "I won T. Not if it means sacrificing who I am." As his father turned to leave, Jake was aware of an invisible barrier cracking open, allowing room for a future unveiled in front of him, one not anchored in his father's expectations. The confrontation felt like a storm passing, leaving clarity in its wake. After the silence stretched, tension easing away, Lily turned to Jake, her eyes shimmering with pride and relief. "You did it. You stood up for us. I couldn't have done it without you," he replied, both excitement and gratitude dancing in his heart. The promise of a new beginning nestled between them as they breathed in the aftermath. With every glance shared, hope flickered alive, glimmering in uncertainty, yet profound in its intensity. They knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy, but they were ready to face whatever came next. "Let us get out of here," Jake suggested, a grin breaking free on his face. "Let us not wait for the storm to pass before we find our own sunlight." Together, they stepped into the cool air outside the cafe, hand in hand, ready to chase the unknown. Freedom tingled in the space between their fingers. Adventure lay beckoning on the horizon. In that moment, under the vast Chicago sky, they forged an unbreakable bond, two souls intertwined, diving headfirst into life, love, and everything in between. Not looking back, now breathe deeply and take the leap. You need to subscribe now to ensure you don't miss the next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Every single bit helps. Comment your reactions and thoughts about this. Ending your voice matters. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who also need to witness this transformation. True fans like you know the importance of supporting our channel.